everyone, welcome to Tech Talk. My name is Anu. My guest today is Celeste Rajczi. She is co-founder of a company called Intentional Gap Year. It's an edtech company. Come join me. Hi Celeste, thanks so much for being on the show. It's great to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks so much for having me in this seat.
Of course. So you are co-founder of a company called Intentional Gap Year. It's an edtech company. And tell our viewers a little bit about the industry that you're in and what is a gap year?
A gap year is space. It's space to explore what your options are when it comes to your academic and your professional future. It's space to gain new life experiences that really allow you to get into the world and directly learn about yourself, about what you like, about what you don't like, about potential futures that you might be able to choose for yourself. It's really an opportunity for you to, with greater self-knowledge, make a clear plan about what you want to do next according to your unique definition of success. Now, a gap year really is defined or distinguished by the intention that you're bringing to this period of time. It's a mindset, right? It's an ability to give yourself space, and within that space, many people who take a gap year are taking this space because they desire more self-awareness. They desire cultural expansion, to see themselves in the context of being a global citizen, right? And at Intentional Gap Year, we really see the gap year in two parts. There is the external experiences that you might have on a gap year, and then there's the internal meaning that you assign to those experiences and the way that those land in your system to help inform the decision-making that you would do in college when it comes to your major, or professionally when it comes to evaluating which employer do I want to work with, what industry is really suited to my skills and my strengths. And what's beautiful is that with a gap year being all about space to grow, we've created a program that allows someone to learn sort of those fundamentals of introspection and the principles that allow for empowered decision making based on a deeper level of self-knowledge in just 30 days, right? So it can be a little bit misleading to this idea that a gap year is a year of time. It doesn't have to be a year of time. It can be a summer before you go into college. It could be a 6-month break that you take in the middle of college. It might be that space between graduating from college and going into and actually starting your first sort of entry-level career position. But it doesn't have to be necessarily any period of time. It's really about the mindset you're bringing and the intention you have to grow, to self-discover, and to make a plan that really allows you to step into this next chapter of your life, whatever it might be, with a much clearer sense of certainty that I'm really going in the right direction for me.
Through the COVID pandemic, for a lot of students, education was out of sync, right? They were not going into classes. We were all in isolation and what have you. How has that had an impact on Intentional Gap Year?
One of the biggest things that we see the pandemic brought the world was a disruption that caused everyone to ask deeper questions. And there's a lot of value in that. That we are not separate. We are all one ecosystem. So us being impacted is also going to be a reflection of the ways that our customers were impacted, the ways that our industry was impacted. So for Intentional Gap Year, we are all about creating a space for people to ask deeper, more empowered questions about themselves, about life, about what they want, and about how they're going to create that for themselves. And the pandemic, we really feel, actually invited more acceptance and a richer opening for what we have to offer to be accepted by the mainstream. Because when we're continuing down sort of the path as usual, it's really hard to take that step back and evaluate what are my other options. But the whole world was forced to do that, whether they wanted to or not during that period of time, right? So I think that in the minds of parents and young adults and professionals everywhere, we were forced to pause and evaluate and look around going, I actually don't know right now. There's a lot of stuff that we don't know right now, and how are we going to find some of these answers? And I think that the questions that this pandemic invited everyone to ask themselves has created more interest in the idea of a gap year, and it also has people being more discerning and more connected to how important and precious life is. right? I mean, that idea that I don't want to just continue doing what everyone says I should do. I want to live for a bigger why. I want to live for a more exciting purpose. And if I don't know what it is, then it's my responsibility to create the space I need in order to discover that. So the pandemic really gave our industry the ability, the experiential industry, travel industry, the ability to pause and also evaluate, okay, there's definitely a need to find a way to connect with people online in a way that they were mostly focused on in person. And so it made our industry more receptive to the idea of integrating the online world into their operations, which was super beneficial for our company, given that that's exactly what we offer as an online tech company. It's serving them in that way. It also invited young adults and the parents of young adults to evaluate, okay, the way that I think education traditionally goes, at least for this moment in time right now, I don't know if it's going to be the right choice. And so what would the harm be of maybe taking a pause and evaluating what my options are and perhaps focusing on developing some other skills until the academic experience that I've been dreaming of, right, is open and available for me to have again. Yeah. So it was sort of, the pandemic was a mandatory global gap year for everyone to kind of pause.
It was a reset, yeah.
Exactly. And so moving forward, I think if anything, it's just made us a lot more receptive as a collective to the messaging of what this company stands for, which is advocating for that pause, advocating for intentional self-reflection, advocating for empowered decision-making that's aligned with a much clearer and authentic vision for how you want to be of service to your community and how you want to bring your gifts to life in the world.
So now I'm curious, how did you come up with the idea behind Intentional Gap Year?
Like most companies that really start to find their footing and really getting out into the market, those companies exist because they've been the iteration of many other versions or several pivots leading up to the moment where they now really have a voice and a message and a product that people love, people want to pay for, and people are using, right? So for our story with Intentional Gap Year, my co-founder Kim McCann, who's unfortunately not here in this space, but has been by my side this whole entire experience, we started actually as a company called the Gap Year Girls, which is where you came into the picture for us. But the Gap Year Girls was focused, and it was created from personal experience that both Kim and I had as being women, as being travelers, and went on our own travels. We had met this demographic of women who were sort of college age, exploring their options, most of them college graduates, people who had done everything right, checked off all the boxes, but found themselves overwhelmed almost by all of the possibilities of their life, right? They are smart and they're witty and they're curious and these women are fantastic. And we would meet them and there would be that sense of a little bit of overwhelm and a lack of structure about how do I put it all together? Everything that I've learned, everything that I've done right in my life, what do I do now, right? So that precipice of all of this excitement, all of this experience, all of this education, what do I do now? Was kind of the big question that Kim and I came together and realized that we could help create space for them to answer for themselves. So we went into development and we created a workshop called the Intentional Gap Year Workshop, where we teach the mindset of self-reflection through a series of 5 principles that really allowed young women to introspect and really get to the core of that deeper truth for themselves with a little bit of structure. And also we developed a web application that allowed for, it wasn't just a workshop, it was an experience. It was an immersive experience where that young woman could connect with an assigned life coach. And we created a dynamic way for their answers as they're going through and reflecting to be shared with their life coach and for that life coach to also reflect back to them. So it was already innovative for the time of what we were doing to create an immersive online experience, because we knew that these women were traveling and they would need to access this curriculum and this program from anywhere in the world. So that was what originally inspired the technology that was the core foundation of our workshop and the community that we created from having women take this program and use it to make more empowered decisions. Now, 2 main things inspired the pivot, shall we say. The first was everything that we learned through fundraising. And I would say the second was a lot of industry insight that we got from really speaking to professionals and potential partners. So speaking to fundraising, once we had our product developed and we had women taking our program, paying us for, testing our program, really having established product and the effectiveness of the transformation it created, we went to Silicon Valley to fundraise and get access to more capital that would help us to create momentum with our go-to-market strategies. And when we went to fundraise, we got some incredible feedback from some really intelligent VCs who had a lot of experience to share, such as yourself. You offered and you positioned a question to us that really made us think and had us evaluate an aspect of our business plan that we hadn't fully worked out yet. And when we presented the Gap Year Girls to you, you said, this is amazing. And how do you see yourself being positioned in the industry that you are a part of? We were even talking about, where do you fit in, right? If you're offering personal growth and development, but you're also in sort of this post-education space, who are your partners and how do you see yourself there? And so Kim and I really sat with that and we thought about, how do we want to grow and how do we want to align ourselves as professionals in this industry? How can we strengthen our message by aligning with others who share similar values and a similar demographic of customers too? And in that, it was actually at the same time of fundraising that COVID happened. And COVID presented an opportunity for us to really get our foot in the door of a lot of executives in our industry that otherwise would have been out trekking or leading groups or focused on really on the ground, operational, very active company activity, that were needing to work from home and had their Zoom a lot more available to be able to get on meetings and conversations. So we seized that. I got my foot in the door of the CEOs and founders of some of the largest organizations offering experiential travel to young adults around the world. And we presented what we were offering, which was at the time a workshop, right? An online workshop and community experience that they could offer to strengthen their curriculum and supplement what they were doing. And there was a lot of positive feedback from them too about the potential of combining that. But they also said, we don't just serve women. So in order for us to really step in and serve their customers, there was the challenge of needing to make sure that our messaging was inclusive to everybody that they served, right? And we heard that feedback from investors as well. It said, you've got a great concept here. It sounds like you're getting good validation. Your product's in the market. That's incredible. Why would you limit yourself? Yeah. If what you're offering could be of value to not only women, but all gendered young adults, why would you limit your market? And that was a really important question to ask ourselves. And especially in the combination of hearing the interest that providers and professionals had, in addition to the encouragement, but also the questions that potential investors had, Kim and I really went back and evaluated and said, with just a few adjustments to the program, we can really make this something that serves a much larger audience.
Sure.
And in addition, we also got a lot of insight to your question about how did intentional gap year really start. When speaking to these professionals, when speaking to program providers in the gap year space, study abroad space, they also expressed a lot of their challenges. There's a lot of opportunity to listen and learn from them in that period of time, where they struggled and admitted the struggles and challenges they had with connecting to their customers online, and especially in that time after active programming ends. How do we nurture the kind of community that we really want to have connected to our brand after active programming ends? Because these companies are facilitating some of the most life-changing experiences for young adults happening on the planet. But after active programming ends, it's really hard to stay connected with them because they're moving on, their attention span, whatever it might be, there isn't a space where they can stay connected and feel like there's a continued nurturing of that alumni value and networking. And again, looking at what we had already built, we knew that with the expansion of our platform, we could create that space for these providers. And not only could our workshop be something they could choose to supplement, but solving that problem of communicating with their young adults, communicating with their customers, and giving those customers an incentive to stay in one place, right? By giving them access to a global community of their peers, the vision expanded tremendously. And Kim and I knew that we were the right people to bring that forward. We also had direct experience. Kim has 2 children who have taken gap years, and I personally took a gap year. I had an experiential programming in my own sort of becoming journey. And I can speak from personal experience that I wish I had access to that network that I could have been a part of. I wish I had a way to connect to the people who came after me in the programs that I've taken, and that didn't exist. And so by the time we were positioned to have technology in place to add value to this industry, hearing the challenges. The solution still hadn't been built yet, and Kim and I decided that we would be the ones to do that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So then that leads me to my next question.
Yeah.
We all know entrepreneurs face many, many challenges while growing and building companies. What's been your biggest challenge so far?
The soundbite answer would be resources, right? Any founder can talk about how getting access to the right resources they need and getting all of the external momentum, credibility, validation that can pose a challenge to getting any idea off the ground in the market and well established. But I believe that before the external resources get talked about, not a lot of people speak about the internal resources that are the means of creating any of that to happen in the first place. And something that I remember a moment having with myself, this idea of, okay, if we need to move forward and we don't have X, Y, or Z available to us, it's like, okay, we want more money, we want more capital, we want more customers, we want more validation, credibility, whatever it might be. What internal resources do I need to self-source in order to become the version of me that's going to successfully create that, right? Yeah. So I think that the biggest challenge, to get back to your question, the biggest challenge really is learning how to let the external go and focus on what you can control, which is the inner resourcefulness of, okay, if I know that we need sales, it's not sales, it doesn't end there. I need the courage to be able to get on the phone and have conversations with people. I need the patience to know that deals in a pipeline take a bit of time to close. And what does that look like? I need clarity about the message of what we're communicating, the value proposition. I need compassion for our team, doing the best that we can and knowing that showing up every day and moving towards our shared goals is enough, and we just get to keep going, right? That perseverance that you pull through. So the biggest challenge with intentional gap year, and you asked, mine, it's just being able to really let go and not get attached to the external, and really self-source everything that's needed to be the version of you that shows up to the best that you can every day, regardless of the results that you see in front of you, to be so deeply committed and immersed in the world that you know is possible. Right. And to summon those qualities in yourself, because it's not about needing more of the external. There's always going to be an internal quality that you can resource in the presence of any challenge. And that's exactly what we're teaching. And that's exactly what we're sharing, that mindset as well, to young adults, right? It's not so much about, oh, do I have the right GPA? Do I have the right grades? Do I have all of this external things taken care of? How do we self-source the internal resources that we need to ground? Do I feel safe in my life? Do I feel connected to my purpose? Do I feel in alignment with what I deeply want? And am I giving my best every day to create that? I think that those are some really important questions to ask. They can be some really challenging questions to ask ourselves. Yeah. And I think that's at the heart of any challenge we face, because it's really the challenge that you're facing off with yourself of how committed am I? And to find a reason why.
Say you had 10x the budget you have now. What would you spend it on?
Well, we have a product and it's in the market and our customers are using it. And so for us, the first thing that we would use a bigger budget for is telling the world that we have a solution for them. So sales, really, sales outreach, direct sales outreach has been a really successful way for us to be building partnerships with customers. Kim and I are only able to leverage our time and our focus as much as we can. And so with a bigger budget, we would grow that team. We would grow sales outreach. We would be able to connect more with the universities, with the study abroad programs, with the experiential gap year program providers who have these challenges with communicating to their customers, and with building successful, thriving alumni networks, and with developing the maturity in their incoming students that really allow them to maximize those in-person experiences, because they've got a foundation of emotional maturity and growth to step into that place from. So sales is really the primary, it's the lifeblood of any business. And our focus would be definitely investing in an incredible team that allows us to reach out to more prospects and let them know that what we're building is is going to change the way that they can connect with their customers and the way that they can build meaningful relationships with them from the moment they even express interest in their brand, their organization, to all the way years after the active program ends, and they can continue utilizing these alumni networks as resources of leadership development and adding value to, even their sales pipeline, right? Of being able to pull from these active alumni. So sales is huge. And I would say the other piece that a bigger budget would allow for our team to do is continue expanding our web development, because we've created our MVP, and our MVP is live, and we have people using it, buying it, and that's very exciting. And with a bigger budget, we can take the feedback that we're getting from these customers who see the potential of what this platform can become and where we're positioning ourselves to be the centralized place for business activities for this industry. We're going to be able to act a lot faster on developing the kinds of features and aspects to this platform that make it something they don't just use on a weekly basis, but really something that is a daily integrated part of their business activities. And also for young adults, using the social network that we're building, allowing this to be a place where there is an immense amount of incentive to come back and to feel like their stories are valued and that they have a growth community that really wants to hear what they have to say. So web development as well is another piece that we want to grow our tech team. We are a tech company, and we want to really serve our customers based on what we hear the platform could really do for them, and just tighten everything up, right? I mean, we've been able to get what we've built to the market, but there's a lot we'd love to do to just make it that much more efficient and a stronger solution for everybody that we desire to be of service to.
So where can our viewers find you online?
intentionalgapyear.org. That is our website. That's our platform. People can come and they can take a look. They can sign up for a free social platform membership. But really, that is our home. Intentionalgapyear.org is our home. Now, for any people interested in sort of the investing that we did an equity crowdfunding campaign as well on WeFunder. That was a part of our sort of pivot to get a little bit of infusion of capital to support the additional development we needed to do in order to transition from what we were doing to now have the much bigger platform. And so if your viewers are interested to take a look, that is on wefunder.com/intentionalgapyear. You can kind of take a look at our initial value proposition and the way that we talked about the company at that time. But intentionalgapyear.org is where you can find us. That's where we'll be. That's where the party's happening.
That's where the party's
happening.
Wonderful.
And just thank you, Anu. Thank you for
Thank you for coming on the show.
This
It's been great.
to come and to share and speak about what Intentional Gap Year is up to, what we have a mission for, and it's an absolute pleasure. You've been a fundamental piece of our own, like I said, introspective development journey as a company, and I thank you for giving me the privilege of sitting in this seat and sharing about what we're here to create.
Oh, you're so welcome, and come back and stay in touch with us, and keep us updated on all the great things that you're doing, all the great work that you're doing with Intentional Gap Year.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Folks, thanks for joining us. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.